application.
I'll now recognize Mayor DeWitt to present considering the next agenda item.
Okay, we have an opportunity that we want you all to take a look at. We are currently, as you know, in a partnership with the city of Churchill for the city county building. We pay certain maintenance items on it, we pay repairs on it, things like that. We have several offices in that building. Sarah has been working hard on this to put some facts and figures together, but we have an opportunity to look at purchasing the old Civis Bank building in Churchill. It's a great building, it's in good shape, it's got room for everything we want to put in it, except for a courtroom, which we would have to add to it. But if you take a look through the packet that she's given you, the appraised value on total market appraisal on the building and land, if you look at the aerial view, there's a lot of land around it. The appraised value is $1,061,700. We have an opportunity to purchase it, and I would encourage you not to spread this around with the media's here, so it's going to happen easily.
You have the purchase price on your handout.
Your purchase price is on the handout. We're currently paying a 5-year average expense of $14,449 per year at the current location we're at. Total estimated expenses at the new location will be $20,350 per year. Now, you have to take into consideration that the building we're in now needs $30,000 for roof and gutters. It has ADA parking that is not ADA compliant. If you've ever seen it, it's on a slope. If somebody turns loose of a wheelchair there, they're down the hill and gone. So we're getting some estimates on leveling that out so that we can have ADA compliant parking there. I'm personally afraid that if we don't level it out or go to this new building, we're putting ourselves at great exposure for an accident that's going to happen there. So basically what we wanted to see was this opportunity and kind of give you some rough figures on what it would be cost-wise to us, and see what your thoughts were on maybe pursuing buying this building, the old Civis Bank building.
That's the building behind food line.
Behind the old Mountaineer.
Yeah, that's where Dr. Clark.
Yeah. Well, it's a standalone. Yeah, there's another building up there with them in it.
Just a little bit of history about this city county building. You have a copy of that lease that we signed with them. The county is responsible for all capital projects at that city county building. So we're going to be paying for that new roof. We're going to be paying for that ADA parking lot. We're going to be paying for those gutters, whether we leave or not, if we cannot work out something with the city of Churchill. We need to work out something with them to see if we can break this lease if we vacate the building. If we stay there, we pay half the expenses plus we pay for everything. So we're fixing up the city of Churchill's building on the county's money.
That is a county building set on city property.
That's one way to look at it.
Well, you really, if you own the property, you normally own the building.
Yeah. But I think that's the way it's done originally.
The property belongs to the city of Churchill, so, the first question would be, who owns the building? The lease does say that the county will be responsible for all capital projects. So, the past 4 years since I've been here, we haven't had any capital projects. They've been taking care of the cost themselves. We have not spent any money at the city and county building.
Have you ever considered the problem they haven't done anything?
That's probably true.
Nothing been done.
Nothing's been done. But the parking is an issue. It is not ADA compliant. I met with the gentleman out there, he's getting me some numbers together, and he doesn't even know if we could get it ADA compliant. There's not enough room to run a ramp to the porch area. Where they have the parking now, it's sloped on a hill. We may have to take one of the spaces away, build a retaining wall, remove some dirt there. So it has to be a flat area to unload the van.
And they got to get out of the car into a wheelchair right now.
We don't have a side church here.
We
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Doug.
I'm sorry. So we've been in this building, I guess, since the late seventies, is that right? So over the past 40 some odd years, how many accidents have happened concerning the parking
That we know of.
that we're aware of? Although the county's been liable for.
Well, I don't think the county's been liable for any of them. There have been, there's a person, I think from Mount Carmel right now that has questioned it.
We've had a complaint. It wasn't a formal complaint.
Yes.
It wasn't a written complaint, but there was a complaint.
I guess what I'm saying, and I don't think any disrespect about that complaint, and I certainly want us to be compliant, and I want everything to be safe. However, I don't want us to create an emergency to make an excuse to spend $500,000, right? Because I think we do that all too often. We look for something to be like, oh man, we have to do this right now. And so I just want us to take a look at this subjectively and make sure this is advantageous for the county and that it is going to work in the best interest of taxpayers and for the county itself. Not because we had one person file an informal complaint over a parking spot. So that's my word of caution.
I agree with what you're saying, Tom. This opportunity came up. Nancy Davis took the lead on it. Sheriff Lawson and Nancy and I and several other folks went up there and looked at it. And I'm not arguing saying that we need to do it.
I didn't mean disrespect.
I'm just telling you that I want y'all to take a look at it because it's an ideal situation for the sheriff's department. They would have a office there with a separate entrance where they wouldn't have to walk through everything else. And I'm gonna go ahead and let Nancy tell you some more about what she found out about it.
Well, just yesterday, for example, I was up there unloading 400 license plates because, we're issuing new plates. It is a major issue. The cart almost got away from me. I'm telling you, that place is steep. I can't imagine being a person with a severe disability trying to get out of any of those spots without falling down. I'm amazed we haven't had a major issue there. Also, my office, I have 3 clerks. They are slammed. People are lined out the door, into the hall, and out onto the steps. And they've been that way for months because we're issuing new plates. There's no place to park. There's 6 or 8 parking spots up that grade, up that hill, or you have to park across the street and cross the main street of Churchill, or you have to drive around and you can't park where the police department is, and I assume you'd have to park in the library. It's quite a distance, especially if you can't find a spot. In the building itself, we don't have control of the heat and air conditioning in my office. So in the summertime, we run a window air conditioner because it gets so hot in there. Or in the wintertime, if the other folks in the city offices are comfortable at a lower temperature, we have to run a heater. It's not conducive, and it's so small, it's not good for the amount of business we do there. And I'd say my office does more business there than any office in that building.
There's a built-in, of course, drive-through there, which would alleviate some of the traffic in and out of the building. I also want to point out, if you look at that aerial map, how much land is around this building, and the appraised value of the land itself is $532,000.
might add something to that. Sure. I had the privilege of looking at that building,
Oh, yeah, Tom was there with us.
and I will say this, and I understand where you're coming from, that we don't need to make rash decisions. However, in looking at that, my personal feeling of being in and around and meeting as many times as I have at the Churchill building up there, it's outdated. You're only gonna be able to fix so much. And the other thing that concerns me, we haven't had it to happen, but laws have changed, regulations have changed as far as what has to be done and what we have to meet. So in my opinion, on the Churchill building, we're one lawsuit away from paying for this.
At least
Now, having said that, the other side of it is, the plus side is there's a lot of land up there. Across the road is a piece of commercial property that could be sold. It's cut off, got the road going between it, and recover probably a lot of this year. I think it may be in defense of the old Food City building, the old Mountaineer building. It got torn down, but there's not a big piece of property there. This property can be joined with it. So if I was looking to come for whatever investment, I would look at that piece of property and say, hey, I'll take the old Mountaineer property plus what you got over there. It could be a win-win situation for us down the road.
Who owns the property with the Mountaineer Restaurant?
I'm not sure. It's listed as some group that's had it for sale, whatever. But you know, when you look at it, everybody thinks that's a big field there, but the Mountaineer building was over against the property line. They had room to drive up by it, till it was your property over here. Not that big a property. So you would be limited as to what, in my opinion, what you could put back there. If someone had access to the other, which they have never had access to it, this could be an opportunity for the county to win out. And I agree with exactly what you said, but I do not feel that the Churchill building up there is a fix.
Well, one question I have is, if the other building was purchased and Nancy moved her office, for an example, up there, the city county building we own now, what are we gonna do with it?
But do we own it?
We don't.
We don't, well, the building we do, the property we don't.
I'd hate to see that argument.
All I'm saying is, when Churchill is willing to
that.
take it back, take it.
What's their choice?
Do they have offices in it?
Yes.
All the city
Yes.
offices.
They have their fire departments in it. They have their fire department in it. They have offices there. Sure. So,
But if the lease wasn't right, then they can still hold us to the, repairs on the building and so forth.
What's the
Even
name
though-
of this lease?
We didn't use it.
What's the
That's
name
what
of
I'm
this?
getting.
I don't know that it has a timely,
I mean, it's signed by J.D. Hank.
yes.
Yeah.
and the other side of it is the city of
1975.
Churchill, which I can't speak for, might be glad that the county wasn't in there, you know?
I know.
Because there has been talk, I do know this, there has been talk, of the city saying that if the sheriff's department wasn't downstairs, okay? And if this so-and-so, they could put a drive-through for their facility there.
If I could, please, recognize the elder, Mr. Palmer.
I'm here as a citizen. Although for 12 years, I heard all this same stuff. Got a question. Should that building burn down tonight, who collects the insurance?
I would think the city of Churchill would, because it's their building.
That's what I understood all along, that they carried the insurance policy on it,
We carry insurance for our personal
the
property.
personal property, but they carry it on the building.
This says, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but it kind of clarifies it. City of Churchill is party of the first part in this lease. As a party of the first part shall also maintain fire insurance coverage in the amount of $100,000 upon building and $20,000 on the contents, which is way outdated. I don't know what they've got on it now, but this tells me that they're maintaining the insurance on it. They would collect the insurance money.
And also number 7, it says is agreed by between the parties that this agreement may be amended from time to time as may be necessary by the mutual agreement of the
It
parties.
would have to be a mutual agreement,
Right.
but,
Well, and I'll tell you, I've been a part of different deals where like a company owns land and then they have a franchisee build on top of that land or what have you. They lease the land to them, and that doesn't, this doesn't sound like that at all. If we own that physical building, they'd be paying us rent, or there'd be some kind of agreement from them to be in that building. If we own the building.
We own the
Right.
building.
And that's not how it
Nancy
is,
wanted to
so-
say something else.
No, I was just gonna say, it would be okay to let the sheriff speak. He's actually seen the building and what his thoughts are on it.
Well, the problem that I see where we're at now is that my office is downstairs and a lot of your money is upstairs. Your business, county, city business is upstairs. Plus you have court going on. In today's times, you got a lot of people's been charged with crimes in and out of there. And could be a potential problem. With the new building, my substation would be on the same floor, just down the hall from everything, which would potentially be a deterrent for any other crimes.
We've got a built-in safe there. We've got, room for Jim Shanks' office, Nancy's office, and a couple other offices there. And again, I want to clarify, I'm not saying that we should do this, but I felt like it was something that we needed to bring forward.
So,
And I'm not saying I don't want everybody to know what they've offered it to us for, but the reason being is I don't want them to be cut out of any other purchases that may come down the line. I mean, they've given us a price that they probably wouldn't give anybody else.
you mentioned, Sarah, that we would have to work on getting a courtroom in this building.
Well, there's not room for a courtroom, I understand, so if we were to continue to have court in Church Hill, we would have to build onto the building, there's certainly room for that, or,
My question to you, are we legally obligated to hold court in Churchill?
I can't answer that.
Can't answer that either.
I think.
Good.
I think
I
it's
think
been
the
a
judge-
convenience.
Judges, I think the judges do that as a courtesy. People live on that end of the county, but actually the courthouses are here at the county seat where they should be, but I understand that concept.
It's just been a
They don't have
courtesy.
It was 3 times a month.
Twice a month, isn't it twice a
General
month?
Sessions Court twice a month, and sometimes juvenile court twice a month, right now about once a month.
So,
Depends on
so
the caseload.
in the event that, let's say in the event that we move the county offices over to this newer building, we would still continue to have court or hold court in the old Churchill City County building.
Probably not, because I'm thinking this would be an all or nothing.
Well,
So we would then have to build a facility of some sort. This is not gonna be a purchase price, this is gonna be a purchase price plus another capital project on top of
If
that.
we decide that we need to continue to have court.
If we're obligated, I look at it this way, we got some of the finest facilities up here on this hill. And the people are there, the people in place. When you hold court, you go out of your way, and the sheriff can tell you how many people that he has to take up there. Lieutenant Woods is in on it, they have to get other people, they have to do it all. They go out of their way, and I'm very blunt, to service you as a criminal.
Mr. Chairman, the judges are utilizing the mayor and alderman's meeting room. It's not a courtroom.
It's not a court.
So they could work out something between the judges and the city to keep the Churchill and Mount Carmel officers driving all the way to Rogersville for court. So that could just be a gentleman's agreement. They're not meeting, the mayor and alderman not there through the day. If they are, there'll be something.
What we're trying to avoid is having expenses in both places.
Right. And that could be a courtesy just to the judge for them, let them use that meeting room. It's there, nobody using it.
So based on the lease that we're looking at and the possibility of buying this building, there is no way around having expenses in both places unless Churchill says, sure, we'll let you all stop paying stuff.
They have to agree to it.
They
They have
have
to
I mean,
agree
that's
to,
what I'm saying.
But if we don't have anything in that building, we would have more leverage of saying, we want to renegotiate this somehow.
Have you had any preliminary conversations with anyone to know if that could?
No, this is in the early stages, and of course, I don't expect you all to say, let's buy this thing today. I just wanted to present it and get your all's feedback and some sort of, let's look at it further, or let's just drop it.
Well, I will say, I'm definitely not a hard yes, but, I'd at least like to have some of the questions that we've asked today answered before we as a committee commit to spend $500,000 or more, whatever the price is, and then have a capital project on top of that, or work out a gentleman's agreement and continue to have court. There's just a lot of questions that I feel like we need to answer. And I'd like to know whether Churchill is willing to break the lease agreement that we signed in 1975 and we're bound to by law.
That's a good question.
Because I don't want to add another building and another set of recurring expenses to the county when we just now increased land taxes by 15 cents, and then jump into buying another building and adding more recurring costs on top of what we've already got. So I think we just need to answer some more questions.
And there are also other avenues of coming up with some of this funding. It may not have to come out of capital money, in our budget. There's CDBG things out there. There are other, go ahead, Tom.
I just wanted to add, Mr. Cameron, on the days that they have court in that building, at the city county building, and I'm either at the first or the last of the month, that's when the actual foot traffic and the parking up there is a nightmare. It's awful.
And it's very disruptive to your crew that's there.
Oh, sure.
And you can operate this with the same staff, Nancy?
Yes.
And it does add the convenience of a drive-through.
Oh, yeah, that would be so much helpful, because the drive-through that I have created here it's just been wonderful, and I can't have it open every day, but a lot of people, they'll just call and say, when is the drive-through gonna be open? Because it's so convenient for folks with disability, elderly people, all they gotta do is zip through, and they're done.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a suggestion that every person sitting at this table on this committee do a stop by Churchill, drive around that area and look at the other building too, and have your own opinion there.
If I could, I'd like to recommend to the committee, someone may want to make a motion to postpone, well, we don't really have to make a motion because it's not on the floor at this point, but we can discuss it, bring it back up on the agenda for the next public buildings meeting, and we can ask those questions and get those things squared away before we come back. And I definitely think it needs to come up for another conversation at the next meeting.
And if there's any other questions that come up, feel free to email me or.
I'd like to know when this
Sarah.
lease expires.
Okay.
It doesn't say.
That's what I'm saying, so how,
It doesn't seem legal.
I'm sorry, but everybody that signed it is no longer with us. And that's the other thing, I don't see any expiration date or any say that that's.
That there's even a lease enforced.
You're right.
Enforced at this point.
Maybe we need to can we let our county attorney review the lease?
Yes.
Mr. Sheriff Lawson.
Okay.
I'm not recommending the county buy this. I'll just ask to look at it. It's an option. It's my substation works well where it's at, but if the county decides to purchase that building, I'd be willing to move my substation up there.
And I think Sheriff Lawson, it is on the table for discussion. I love the idea. I think, the idea of having a better building, better facilities, that's definitely a win-win. I think this conversation has led us to some more questions that hopefully the mayor's office can help us answer, and then we can bring this back up at the next public buildings meeting.
I'll put that in form of a motion.
Well, honestly, Mr. Thacker, we really don't have a motion on the floor, if it's okay.
I'm going with what you said.
Okay. What I would
Recommendation you put forward.
Yes, sir. What I would say is, we don't really even have to have a motion to bring it back up. Just for the next scheduled public buildings meeting, Ms. Davis, if you'll put it on the agenda.
Just informational.
Just informational purposes, and then we can make a motion to do what we need to do at that point, if that's okay, Mr. Thacker. But and I appreciate it.
And reach out to Churchill to have a representative here to ask questions.
I agree with Mr. Palmer. Can we
So,
do-
so the mayor's office will come back with some answers to some of the questions that we've asked today.
And until that time.
It's good questions, I mean, you definitely have to be answered.
But it does take into consideration too, the ADA laws changed in 1997, and therefore, anything that we are not in compliance with, and there is a accident or anything that happens within that time frame, or somebody just goes in and says, hey, I cannot access this building, I can sue you.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, let's, Ms. Davis, put that on the agenda for the next scheduled public buildings meeting. And, as we gather more information, we'll set a meeting, we'll get it sunshined and get back in place in order to pass the negative test.
Yeah.
Okay,